then experience, right? To talk about your pitching on a bigger stage, and then being able to kind of come back to what goes into a good pitch and how to simplify in that way. So for those of you who don't know, yes, so Ryan O'Neill, I call him, was featured on the Dragons Den, and I think I had shared when I first met Ryan, one of his goals was to get on that show. And I think Ryan, at that point you did, or you had an audition at one point, correct? And then you didn't go through, and then being able to finally make it a reality, which is super awesome.
Yeah, that was long, 2013, I think.
Yeah,
Either
because
2013 or 2014. I
yes, I
pitched
think
and
when
didn't get
we
on.
met, you had told me you had auditioned, and then yeah, so you give us the full backstory and stuff. But my friends, as business owners, we're pitching every single day, right? Whether it's to a new prospective client, some of us have gone into arenas or spaces with entrepreneur, with VC venture capitalists. If you've ever tried to.
Oh, one sec, Chris Beth. The I don't think your voice is coming through and showing your face.
Okay, one second.
I think it's coming through Richie's.
Yes, I will. Richie needs to mute. Can you hear me okay better? Yes.
Okay, hold
Is it
on.
better?
Yeah, and then let me just see if we keep going, and then I'll check the
Oh.
live stream.
Is it better? Can you hear me? Testing 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me?
Yep, we're good. Yeah, we can hear you good.
Okay, so for some reason, the audio, yes.
Oh, we can hear you okay if you're
Um,
hearing us.
can you hear me okay?
Yes, thumbs up.
Yes.
Yes.
Hello? Okay, I see a thumbs up. Yeah, for some
Yeah,
reason,
we can hear you.
I'm not getting a lot of I don't think we've solved for the technical issues. Sorry about that. But I see thumbs up so you can hear me. I don't think you can. Ryan, can you say something, or someone on the call say something? Let me see if I can hear
We can
you.
hear you a lot better now.
Amanda, I see you're unmuted. I guess you just said something, but I cannot hear you. One second.
Yes, I said we can hear you a lot better now.
Okay, perfect. I need your audio because it's not coming. Okay. We will work on that.
Ooh, now it's echoing.
Can you hear me better?
It's echoing.
Yeah, Richie can stay on mute. She just needs to turn her volume up a little bit so that you can hear us.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, for some strange reason, when she mutes, we're not able to hear you guys, unless she unmutes. Sometimes these technical difficulty stuff, right? I do apologize. So what will happen, I will speak, and then just for the purposes of not getting that echo and feedback, once I say, hey, anyone has any comments, questions, all of those things, you can we will mute and then go, or raise your hand, and then we will know you are speaking, just to help with some of that maneuvering, if I could put it that way. Yes, so we're gonna get started. I am going to share my my screen. And I did want to take the time today. Yes, okay, perfect. Yeah, so today we're talking about elevator pitch, and more specifically, we're diving into pitching in general as a whole as well. So I wanted to see if anyone on the call, to start us off, do you have your elevator pitch? Who would like to introduce themselves? Typically they say a good elevator pitch, you don't want it to be too long. I see Amanda, you put a heart there. So we'll go with you first, Amanda. Let us hear your elevator pitch.
Can you give me 1 second? I'm washing the dishes and I'm listening at the same time, but I'll get my book and I'll read it to you. Just give me 2 seconds.
Hey, not a problem. Not a problem. Not a problem at all. How about you, Ryan? I will put you on the hot seat to kick us off.
Oh, yes. All right. So I have two elevator pitches. The first one I'll say for ACBN, so the Afro-Caribbean Business Network. I'm one of the co-founders, and we work with entrepreneurs of African and Caribbean heritage, really to figure out what stage the business is in and help them create a strategy to grow their companies exponentially. And so people usually ask questions after that, and that sparks the conversation. Then I switch over, and with Detail Ignites, I go, the founder of Detail Ignites. We provide mobile waterless car cleaning. So we go to people's houses or their offices, clean their cars on the spot without using water, and our plant-based, eco-friendly cleaning supplies. So those are the two elevator pitches I do.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ryan. How about you, Bernadette? And I love, Ryan, the background changes. ACBN, DK. Awesome. Thank you. Bernadette, what would be your elevator pitch? You meet someone for the first time, you're kind of summarizing yourself and your story. What would you say? Okay. Thanks, Bernadette. Share. I don't know if you have an elevator pitch that you'd like
I
to
think she put
share.
in the chat that she needs 10 minutes. She's just multitasking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what
I
we
do
will
have an
do, right?
elevator pitch, but mine is kind of rusty.
Hey, it's okay.
So I don't have it with me. I'm actually in Longos right now, but I'm listening to you guys.
Okay, no worries. No worries. So what we're gonna do, and I love what Ryan shared in his, and I know others have theirs and is working on it. I think really three main things when we're talking about our elevator pitch, right? Who is it for? Who are we trying to reach and attract with our businesses? One. The other one is what pain point or problem do they have? And then really looking at your solution, right? So I wanted to let me just pull this up. It sometimes falls in what we call that value proposition statement. It helps to frame that. If you're not familiar, I recommend Steve Blank. It's simple. Steve Blank value proposition statement. So I will put it up here so that you can see. And I love, again, we'll get to the marketing elements in a little bit, but with AI overview, as I have shared maybe on this, on this stage over the past couple of days, but definitely in other rooms, I've talked about how when you search stuff, right? AI overview is going to give you a result, right? So instead of having to scroll down as we did before, everything is at the top, people. So I was sharing, how do you get ranking in these spaces? And the answer to you is you want to be putting out SEO content in your subject matter expertise to be able to answer those questions. So Steve Blank, a business strategist as well, really helping to support and entrepreneurs with the ability to, simplify the messaging. And again, when we think about what we discussed yesterday, it's about getting into conversation with individuals. I love what Ryan shared. He said, after I say that, people oftentimes have questions, and that's what we want. A question begins a conversation, right? And so this formula, I like it because it's simple and it's able to help you tell your story effectively. So the pitch context around your value proposition is we help X, which is the people, the who, do Y, which is what are the pain points? What is the end goal by doing Z? And Z here refers to your solution, right? Looking at the way that your product and or service solves for that problem. So I just wanted to share that quickly with you. And one of the tools that I do love is called the business model canvas. So I did want to just play a quick clip to show you where it sits in your business model, right? We're talking about business foundations, and I really felt like if we're going back to basics, can we get a clear understanding of who we are, what we're doing, and who we are, who we want to serve, what problem or need exists that they have, and what is our solution by means of product and or service, right? So the X, as you can see here, refers to the target customer. The Y is identifying the problem, and the Z is the solution. So while I'll have to stop sharing for a moment and then come back and play the video. But I did see, Amanda, you're ready to share your elevator pitch with us. So I'm gonna stop sharing if I can find that button to stop sharing.
So
most people over 40 use ChatGPT.
1 second.
Like it's Google. Copy, paste, ask a basic
Sorry,
question,
1 second.
move on.
Why is my
That's
clicker
not-
not working? Thank you. Okay, Amanda, you can go.
So I have two. And the reason why I have two is because I'm pushing my Jamaican rum cake cheesecake, but I also do catering, which involves Canadian, West Indian, and Asian influenced dishes. So I'll read you the short one first. Hey, my name is Amanda Hamer, aka Edible Bliss 11. Have you tasted the bliss today? I've created two heavenly cakes that have merged into one, a New York style cheesecake and a traditional Jamaican rum cake, black cake, soaked with dark spiced rum. Together, it's called the Jamaican rum cake cheesecake that you can have all year round, not just at Christmas. And that's where I smile with my pearly whites. To taste the bliss, follow at Edible Bliss 11 on Instagram. So it's a 30-second pitch. I'm not sure what I should add to that, or I know it's a little rusty though.
No,
I'm
hey,
sold. I'll take
I
one.
love it.
Yeah, because
I
you've
feel
already
as
tried
though
it.
definitely,
Oh yes, that's true.
sorry.
I
Definitely
need to learn it so I can tell other
start,
people.
right? And it does, I see you getting applause and hearts, definitely a win there with the audience. And I love that. I think you said you have two, Ryan has two based on his two companies. The thing that is really important oftentimes, and this is why it's not like one pitch for everybody, it's also understanding who we're standing in front to share that. So for example, you might have a pitch that you meet a Caribbean person like myself. I grew up on black cake all my life. Still to this day, it is a thing. So I know black cake, right? From my experience, my family's experience, all of this stuff. So your pitch to a person like me who is familiar with the product, you may say, you ever eat black, like, and I don't know your remedy and your methodology, but you've probably had blackcake before that, you might have that grainy feeling or very textured, and yours is different, right? So you want to be able to speak to some of the pain points maybe Caribbean people might have amplified or shared with you around blackcake, their challenges with blackcake, to then be able to say, I have the solution for you, right? That's one. I think your pitch definitely for people, what you shared initially, for people that may not know what black cake is, but you could even say at festivity time, like Christmas time, people oftentimes having parties or looking for sweets or different things like that. And I can introduce something new to you, right? So I think just depending on who's the audience, I think from what you shared, definitely it locks in your brand, tells that story. But for the pitching purposes, again, we want to be able to speak to an audience, right? Maybe your black cake is done in a way, yes, you get the bliss, but what does bliss taste like, right? Sell me on the palate, the palate, how do you say, your watery glands, you're just like salivating over the description of what I'm about to eat in that way. So something to consider. But I think you have a lot of the key elements there for sure, Amanda.
Thank you.
Let me just stop sharing and reshare. And I will make sure you will have access to this video as well. But as I said, the whole thing covers the business model canvas, which is a tool I will highly recommend that you all go back and look at and utilize. But with this, am I sharing the wrong screen? Yes, wrong screen. I will share that screen afterwards. Yes. So the business model canvas, a great tool that I love using. It is very helpful to help navigate accordingly.
The value proposition says, hey, it's not about your idea or product, it's about solving a problem or a need for a customer. That is, what pain are you solving? What gain are you creating? And more importantly, who are your customers? Now, value proposition is a fancy word for what product or service are you building. This is where you normally would list all your features and here's all the speeds and feeds and benefits and whatever, but you're really going to be asking a different question than might have been used to. It's not all about your technology. Your technology is just part of the value proposition. Customers really don't care about your technology. The customers are trying to solve a problem or fulfill a need. By the way, we'll be talking about this through multiple lectures. The difference between a problem and a need is, a problem is, I have an accounting problem, or I want to use a word processor. And those types of products solve problems. But there are other things that human beings do, like I want to be entertained, or I want to have a date. Those are some basic hardwired social needs. Or I want to communicate with my friends, like Facebook or Twitter. Those are needs. Needs are different than problems. And by the way, if you could find products that solve needs, your total available market, as you'll see later, is huge compared to I solve specific problems. So the next thing is, who are my customers?
So
who are they and why would they buy?
So I'm gonna pause that there. But really what I wanted to highlight in that value proposition canvas piece, I think when we're pitching, it is important for us to have an understanding of the problem and or need that we may be experiencing, right? That our customers, I don't know what is happening. Yes, that our customers may be experiencing in that way. So just keep that in mind. Whatever we're pitching, And we don't have to tell the whole brand story unless you're positioned to do so. But I think for the purposes of engaging, with customers, with different stakeholders, we want to be simplified so that they ask us more questions, right? So, I think Amanda, you shared you have two kind of signature cakes. And so is that telling them too much? Is that telling them sufficient for them to say, hey, where can I find it? What does it look like, right? And so, and I think in your pitch as well, you did give the hashtag. So you've given the bundle, right? Like everything you want to know me, find me, you can get it, right? But in a conversation around, being able to communicate effectively, I would say versus spending a lot of time explaining all of the details, ins and outs of the brand and all of those things, it should be capturing those 3 points. Who is the customer? What problem do they have? And what solution can you offer? So one of the things that I wanted to just dive in quickly around, and if you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to me accordingly. Our mic issue is having a problem, but Richie is monitoring to be able to give us a cue if there are questions there as well. So I'm just going to share my screen. Yeah, so we're going to be talking a little bit, and this says deck, but I think oftentimes when we think of business deck or pitching, we want to put together a compilation of things, right? Understanding that not all things are created equal. So again, you may have a short version or a long version to this. So I'm just gonna jump ahead to this slide here. So present. So you should be able to see me and my screen as well. So really, for the last little bit that we want to get into is recommended order of information. So I think I shared with you that initial short. We want to make sure that we give them enough so that they can ask questions. So that is, we help X. X is the people, do Y. Sorry, we help X with Y, which is the problem or need that they have by doing Z, right? And so the XYZ formula by Steve Blank is what I recommend to help begin crafting your pitch. Obviously, you could expand on it, but we want to make sure that our pitch covers those three main areas. The other one, as we expand the pitch, right? And so understanding that depending on the audience that you may have, there may be some additional details. So some of you may be, I don't know, Ryan, if there's any pitch competitions or anything's coming up, but one of the things, as I mentioned, and I'll get you in a few minutes, Ryan, to talk about your pitching experience on, national television, which is huge. For visibility marketing, all of these things, right? So when considering what goes into a deck, deck sometimes could be very long or very short, right? The shortened version that I shared, we want to talk about who has the problem, what's the solution. Thank you very much. Ask me more questions. But oftentimes in other pitching, they want more detail. So it's important to have a cover page. You want to be talking about that problem or need, right? And I shared that section of the value proposition canvas because most times people don't talk about the pain point or the desire that you're filling in the marketplace, and it is so important, right? So understanding that problem or need is very important. The value proposition basically is that one summation, that pitch, that story that tells everything, right? We help X do Y. We help X for with Y by solving for Z, right? And I'll show you that in a little bit again. The solution or your magic. So, hey, black cake like no other. What makes our product distinctive, unique? There's lots of black cake out there, right? Ryan, you're cleaning cars. There's lots of car cleaning out there. Why you, right? Being able to really talk about what makes your business different. And I say that not to scare people away from competition. It is good to demonstrate healthy competition, and we will share that in a little bit. What it just means is that you could find your competitive advantage or position yourself in the market different from your competitors, right? And we'll talk a little bit about that. The business model, I think we've been going over, yesterday was really good, people talking about some of the needs, what's keeping them up at night. The business model is significant because we want to know, as business owners, we are not running a charity. We have to demonstrate that this is a viable business, right? Meaning that money comes in, money goes out, and we are heading, or we have a profitable margins accordingly as well. We talk about the market, go-to-market strategy, depending on where you are. You need to know, all right? We must be the subject matter experts in our industry as we're working, right? And so when we talk about that go-to-market, maybe you're saying, hey, I want to expand to new markets, or this is how I'm capturing my existing market. I have a strategy to get to X. For example, one of my coaching calls today, someone said, hey, I want to make $20,000 before the new year, so for the Christmas season. And I said, okay, what does that look like? Right? So we go back to the fundamental. Who is the customer? What is the need or the desire or the problem you're solving for? What is the solution? Where are the customer, right? So if we're talking to B2C, so business to consumer, or business to business, or business to government, you're looking to sell on those higher levels, we have to know how to engage with them, right? So this is where some of those strategic pieces, and where I see a lot of gaps. We don't have a plan. We have the 20,000 in mind, but we don't have that roadmap for getting to the market, right? And that's sometimes where the gap is. We don't know where our customers are at. So we want to be able to answer that question when we talk about our business model. Not, oh, I could sell to everybody. No, we need that plan to get from point A to point B and continue along the journey. So I alluded to it before, slide 7 typically focuses on the competitive analysis. Who else is doing what you're doing, right? And why that is important to know. Maybe I haven't heard anyone here selling products like Grace, and maybe Grace sells a black cake too. But I meet a lot of foodpreneurs who are selling the hot sauces and the different uh, jams and jellies and stuff like that. And for the hot sauce person, I said, so why would someone come to you over Grace when Grace is all they know from their whole generation, right? And so really being able to say, okay, Grace has this market share, but where I'm looking for is to penetrate the market in a different place. Or you have a methodology of capturing some of their clienteles as well. Someone's hand is raised. I will pause and give a chance for questions.
Sorry, it's not a question, it's just a statement. It's not just black cake, it's a black cake cheesecake, which is very different, and not a lot of people are doing it. This is why my product is unique. And I also offer gluten-free and lactose-free for those Black people who cannot tolerate dairy.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. And thanks for the clarification, Amanda. And yes, it does sound like a product that I have never tasted or seen. So definitely you have a unique positioning. So the question when we come to the market with new, sometimes, and you could think about your own experience around food, around doing something different. Change and new is sometimes exciting, but it's also scary to people, right? And not to say I think I would love to try your combination in that way. It sounds great. I'm particular with my cheesecakes. I typically just like plain cheesecake versus, the sauces and stuff. And yeah, black cake is another conversation as well. But I love it for you, right? I think it's really important that you have that unique positioning. So now combining two things that traditionally don't go together, so now you have an opportunity to potentially entice cheesecake lovers to try something different. Now you have an opportunity for black cake lovers to try something different, right? Combining the two, it now broadens your scope, hopefully, in terms of who wants this type of product. So thanks for the clarification. And I think this is where, even if your competitors are not direct, so to your point, people aren't doing the same things in your industry, but you do have indirect competition, right? So whether the traditional black cake seller or the traditional cheesecake seller, you do have to know what is happening in the direct and indirect space. And most importantly, and I think during the pandemic, we saw this a lot, was the DIYers, right? Everybody's doing their own lotions, cooking, all of this stuff at home. And that DIY percentage over the pandemic period in particular, we saw a great growth in the, DIYers, doing it yourself people, versus them going out to market in that way. So considering who is in the playing field or the landscape of your business operation is very important. The next one, I think there's a comment, or 1 second. Oh, Sherry, you can ask your question as well. Hold on 1 second. I don't think I can hear you until Richie comes back. So once Richie's back, I'll get your question if you have a question. I'll pause in a little bit. So the next slide is and there's a typo there. So it should 8, 9, 10, 11. So slide 8 should be around the team and advisors. Most of us are operating as solopreneurs, but I like to say you want to be connected to different organizations, like the Canadian Black Chamber of Commerce, like ACBN, like Empowered Fex, to be able to go into a room to say that I have a network of organizations that I'm also working in and working with to bolster my team, right? To bolster my organization. We talked a little bit about team dynamics. At some point, you want to be starting to make provisions so that it's not just you. Businesses that are, you're taking on all of the responsibilities, there comes a point where there is that burnout, right? There's pros and cons to both. The invitation is structuring and working that business so that you can have other people to support you on this journey, right? Looking at your financials and KPI, and sometimes you're pitching for the purpose of sales, you're pitching for the purpose of investment. You have to, again, it comes down to who are you talking to in order to be able to communicate effectively. And that's where that last piece, telling people how they can contact you. So I'm going to pause for a moment. I think Cher had her hand up, or was it a thing in the chat?
Oh, it was me. I had my hand up. I was just gonna ask in regards to the pitch, I kind of find it a little bit difficult trying to tie in the fact that I want to be able to provide scholarships. Like that's one of the goals when I started my business, was that I wanted to be able to generate enough revenue to be able to like offer scholarships to children who otherwise wouldn't have access to post-secondary. But then I find that it becomes too wordy when I'm trying to make my pitch, like because greeting cards are something that it's somewhat generic. So I'm thinking to kind of make the pitch a little bit different. should I lead with that, like the social aspect of it, or what do you think?
Okay, and it's a great conversation and question as well. So when it comes to that, your brand story, right? So, for example, in your case, you're saying, hey, there is an impact piece. What I would strongly invite you to consider putting that impact story, impact, piece into one, your value proposition and your business model, right? In terms of, you could also talk about it in terms of your financials. Hey, for every 1,000 cards that are sold, we get to sponsor or give away a scholarship, right? So you could weaving it in, right? So when you talk about the need or the desire for greeting cards, you probably wouldn't talk about it there, because what that problem identifies, or what we wanted to identify, is who has the problem and who is willing to pay to have that problem solved. So the problem, the impact piece, the scholarship around scholarships, yes, that's talking about another component. Yes, there are people that need scholarships that don't have it, and we want to help solve for that. But we're not in the business of selling, I'll go say, just for a lack of better words and thinking around it, like tokens for students to go to, like, people spending dollars to for the scholarship fund. We're in the business of card selling so that scholarship funds can happen, right? So I think there's opportunity, obviously, to an investor, and this comes back to your solution as well. Hey, when we sell our goods, which is in your case the scholarship, the greeting cards, when we sell our greeting cards, it's not just a happy family or a happy relative or a friend that's getting a greeting card as part of our impact. But what that card, our solution does, is that it also supports these scholarship funds. And what I would also encourage you to think about, share, is when you look at your overall business story, make sure that that is part of your story, right? So every time I know I buy a greeting card, it is going to also this pool of money to support a student. Like that enhances and encourages me. I'm not saying the impact is the same on everybody, but to know it's not just another greeting card for the purpose of profits for you, but there is long-term impact, right? I hope
Oh,
that's
that's great.
helpful.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's really, really helpful because, yeah, it's like a personal thing. For me, I also, when I had to go to university, like it was also hard because, listen, they don't want to give OSAP to people unless you're like really, really, really below the poverty line. So it's really hard to get OSAP. So I can really identify with students that really, they want to pursue post-secondary, but they can't. So that's how I feel a personal connection to it. But then it's just hard for me to try to summarize all that into like a 30-second pitch.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Yeah, so one of the things that you could also, when you lead in those 30-second pitch, we're a social enterprise selling greeting cards so that we can help students get scholarships. Like that kind of encompasses your product. The greeting cards is the mean to achieve, helping you achieve that bigger vision and mission that you're on, right? And so that comes back to, when we talk about the vision and mission, that should be baked into your story, right? Into what is our vision, what is our mission? If we are tied to impact in some way, you want to be able to convey that at some point in your story, right? For consideration. So it's not just a share thing, it's a brand thing, right? Because it's funny, yesterday, I believe it was, our accountant was doing a workshop, and the question was, why are we in business? And I'll put it out to you guys. Why are we in business? Why are you in business? I'll flip it.
Well, I'm in business to make money and to become self-sustaining, make my own generational wealth.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
My heartfelt feeling, I'm in business to support Black women entrepreneurs become financially independent.
Okay, share.
I want to help students who wouldn't otherwise have access to post-secondary. I want to make a difference helping them. And then I also want us as Black people to also feel seen and heard, especially in the greeting card space. So I kind of have those are my main reasons.
Hey, awesome. So thank you to both of you for sharing. And so the question that he followed up with was after, you know, Black people get a position in the greeting card space and you help the students, you create that generational wealth. Are you or help those Black women with their businesses? Are you going to stop business? The answer is no, right? We are in business to stay in business. But we don't necessarily say when I get to giving out 100 scholarships, we're going to stop if that's a target that you have, right? So I share that just to come back to the point is that we need to have this piece here around business model solidified. It is, I mean, and the business model is connected to all of it, but we should be able to tell our impact story concisely, but not just tell the story. We need to make sure that as we're setting up the foundations for each component of our business, it's sustainable, right? It's not, as I when I when I first started working with my accountant, and I think I've shared this, money management, how things are coming in, all of this stuff. He was like, you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, that would just to share, like as new clients were coming in, it was more so to help pay for work that was done because I was in this kind of rat race, right? Oh my goodness, I'm under budgeting, I'm doing this, and I need to restructure in different ways. So the we are in business to be in business, right? For the purposes of businesses, or why and the reason all of those things are good. But when we are as business owners, it means that we have to be accountable for the structures that we're playing and operating in, right? So if you start a business and you realize that you have a cash flow issue, we may need to go back to the elements of it. Maybe your supply chain, as I think Shay you shared, is broken, or there are places where we need to find solutions to bring down costs, or we figure out how do we increase our pricing to support with that, right? So things to consider, but where you would start, and I shared the tool earlier, that business model canvas. The question is it working? Is it not working? And that impact story is so key, right? That what I would encourage you to do is finding a way to insert it sooner rather than later, right? You could even on the problem slide or the problem conversation, what I see is that, and I know your greeting cards are Afrocentric. What I see is there aren't Afrocentric greeting cards. That's a huge problem. What does that mean? It's not representative of X number of the population that are purchasing greeting cards. Okay, beautiful. You've identified that. Another problem, because you could even say our business model solves for two problems, right? The thing is, when we get into multiple problems, it blurs and confuses the customer or the listener. So this is why, again, knowing who's in front of you, simple. My business coach says simplicity sells, complexity kills, right? So as simple as possible, being able to convey that. But I think as you're going through how it works, when you buy a card, X percentage goes to fund a scholarship student. It works. I think you could figure out a cadence to insert it. But it is part of your story, and I love that for you, Share. Any additional questions or concerns or thoughts around these things that I've shown? I want to just go through a couple of the slides quickly. Shelly, I see your hand is raised.
Hi. Okay, so here's my elevator pitch. It starts with me scratching my scalp, and I'm saying, I'm so thankful my hair is slowly but surely filling back in. The pain point is, okay, so I thought it was age or genetics causing a bald spot to grow from a dime to a quarter size. But then I saw my 20-year-old son started to get similar spots. I then realized there was more factors to causing hair loss. Moving on to solution. So here's hoping you might know someone interested in reviewing factors impacting their hair loss or their loved ones, and also find ways to prevent or reverse that hair loss. I hope to grow a group like Weight Watchers for hair to help folks stay on track to reaching their personal hair goals.
Hey, thank you so much for sharing, Shelly. And I like, again, this is like what I was sharing. Sometimes we want to use similar things that people know to entice them to consider what we're offering, right? So you use the example, I want to build a group like Weight Watchers. Most people know what Weight Watchers is all about. And so to say we are like them, but for here, like that's, I tell me more, like how does that work, right? So even if you were to just say that, I think it opens that conversation. And remember, we talked a little bit about this yesterday. We want to be positioning ourselves for conversations, or having more conversations. What I just some general feedback. I think you shared the story from yourself, which is personal, to your son. So you're seeing it and you're learning. And what I did not fully get, although you said lightweight group with Weight Watchers, which again, that is perfect, I think, to open the conversation. Let's dive in a little bit more in terms of the who. And then you did say people like you or somebody is there a grouping of people that you want to target first, right? So maybe it is, I don't know what, I think you said there are traditional ways and non-traditional ways of why people lose hair. I think when you shared previously, you were talking about stress level and food intake as well. So yeah, like, I think there's an opportunity to pull out profiles that you can speak to specifically, right? So that would just be my one suggestion for you. And you did share the struggle is hair loss, and we sometimes think it's because of this, but it could be because of something else. So thank you so much for sharing, Shelly.
Thank you.
Awesome. So what I have here is what I showed initially with the video around the value proposition canvas. And again, really leaning into the who, the what, so the who, it relates to the X, the why relates to the problem that they're experiencing. So in Shelly's case, I'll just use an example. Let's say professional busy moms or busy women. It could be professional woman. Like you're just trying to find a grouping to start to see, are there more people within this area? Maybe, I don't know your full business model, but it's like, are you planning to do testing for, let's say, you do a call out, hey, are you experiencing hair loss, and looking for solutions? And maybe you have a questionnaire to get people to identify who they are. So that could help you then begin to find the grouping of people that you could speak to. And why I'm saying, and this is for all of us, right? So here, and I'll go back to, I think it was Amanda. Are you a cheesecake lover, but you want a different topping or a different flavor other than cherry or blueberry or like whatever the traditional thing is. But she's speaking to blueberry lovers who want cheesecake lovers who want something more. She now has an opportunity to invite those people in, right? So I think when we are, maybe you have that profile of the person, again, the profile matters because the messaging that comes after the profile knowledge is what impacts that person to say, tell me more. I want this, right? So this is why I'm really stressing we need to know the category of people. And the truth is, you could have multiple people, right? And I oftentimes say, I'll use Toys R Us as an example. I believe all of us on this call have either gone into Toys R Us or you know about Toys R Us. Um, if you look at a Toys R Us commercial, you will notice that Toys R Us may market, the bright colors, the kid playing, all of these things, smiling to the kid, and that's how they're capturing the child's attention, right? So the child may not necessarily be able to understand what's being said on the TV, but they're just looking and saying, I want that thing, right? I have a need to play, and this is the thing that gets me going. However, that same commercial, not only are we seeing the bright colors, the kids playing, the family is happy, all of those things, but what the words are saying, it could be this toy is safe, reliable, durable, all of the stuff the parent, who is the buyer, wants to hear in order that they make that decision. And I just share that in short to say, we need to know who we're talking to around our value proposition. And I love what Shelley did. Sometimes it's not for the person that's sitting in front of us that is the buyer, but somebody they know, right? You or somebody you know. Maybe you know a woman or a man that has X, right? And they're struggling to find out the reason why their hair is falling out. We have a solution for them, right? So this piece around the pitching and the value proposition summarizes your business for people to say, tell me more, right? So I hope that was helpful in that way. So what I wanted to go to next, I'll just share this one. This comes back to your point. We talked a bit about that business model, right? And it's like, okay, do you know the cost of goods sold, right? We talked about COGS. We talked a little bit about your financials. What are the margins that when you sell a card, what does that profit look like so that you're able to give away? My business coach calls profit, and I think I might have shared this, fun tokens, right? So with our profit, we can do so much more. The impact piece, right? So we want to be able to show with our business model that we know who has the problem. So in the example of Toys R Us, the need of the kid is there, but the buyer or the decision maker is the parent, right? So to be able to say, I know that the end user of our product is kids, but the parent is the one that we need to sell. I hope that understanding and the way that we talk about our business, we have to show that connection through and through, that money is being made so that we can keep the business going. We're in business because why? Because we're in business, and it's not a one and done. We see longevity around our companies, right? And so you all will have access to this deck, but the piece that I wanted to show, when we are talking about, that was the final slide. Oh, this was, I didn't share it as part of the slide, but you could see it as you're thinking about it, right? Oftentimes when you're pitching, you want to convey urgency, right? You want to convey, hey, if you don't take action today, you know, tomorrow is not guaranteed. You may say something, and again, it depending to the audience that you're in front of, right? But you may, if you're selling, your cakes on your cakes have a specialty going on, a special promo or different things. You may say we only have 5 left. Right? So you're talking about it in scarcity, and we know that reasons why people buy, right? So it's emotional, logical, and oftentimes fear sets in, right? So that FOMO, I don't want to miss out on some epic cakes that I want to take advantage today, right? And so these are different tactics that you can use to sell. But when it comes to asking for investors and things like that, you want to go back to the problem in many ways. Hey, if this problem is not solved, more people will suffer. Right? And in the way that, or if the need is not met, there is a missed opportunity, which it all comes down to, right? As business owners, we are seeing an opportunity, we're seeing gaps in the market and filling those things all together. And the last piece that I have here is show off your traction. Folks, we could have the greatest pitch, we can have the greatest, way of being, talking about our business, different things like that. But if we are not demonstrating traction, we're missing the mark. And demonstrating traction means you have a funnel of clients coming in, you have a pipeline of clients coming in, you have a list of clients you're working through in that way. So I'm going to, Ryan left. I should have let him go first. And it is 4 o'clock. Yes, the joys, the joys. So tomorrow you'll get a special. Ryan's gonna talk about his Dragon's Den experience. I do apologize of not letting him talk about his pitching experience today, but I hope the slides that we went through gives you some insight for that short, concise pitch, but also an opportunity for you to expand to communicate the things that are relevant to, in particular, this deck that we went through was for an investor or for a competition in that way. But as business owners, we also need a sales deck, right? So you're able to tweak the things according to the audience. And I think that's one of the biggest things, knowing who you're in front of to be able to say, I have value to share with you. So I'll pause, see if there's any questions. I do appreciate you all being here. If you do have to hop off before, just know that I'll wait, maybe 5 minutes, and then we'll see you tomorrow. Bernadette, I did not hear from you. So
Yes, so I'll give you my pitch now. I just didn't want to, I know going into the late hour, it's a long weekend, people want to go. So Sankofa African Gifts supports African, Nova Scotian, Black, Caribbean, and women's find their financial freedom by understanding their books, their values, and how to elevate their costs by understanding their numbers and looking at their financials on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis.
awesome. That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing, Bernadette. And I think you answered the who, right? You answered the problems that they are facing. And you also answered your service offering, which is important. What I would definitely say is, obviously, I think for 30 seconds, and I did not have my timer. Maybe we'll end off with the timer last class, the 24th day, but really a chance for you to find ways to tighten it, right?
Yes.
Amplify the pain point a little, and again, I love it because you kind of shared for your brand as an entirety. What would you say to a woman who meets the profile and is standing in front of you? That's the pitch that you would want to have, right? And you don't have to say you have these problems, but you may know somebody. Oftentimes women struggle with X around their finances, right?
Yes.
And that person's gonna be like, yo, that's me. I think I need help. You're
Yeah.
speaking to every problem that I have as it relates to business. And this is why, whether it's a problem or a need or a desire, we want to enhance that. So for Amanda yourself, those sensory glands around food, people, you talk about food and some people are just, their mouths watering. Just give me the thing, right? So it's how do I augment the senses, that emotional aspect of something that is to be desired, so that the conversion enhances in that way, if I could put it like that. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Bernadette. Any final parting words from anyone? Ryan, good to have you here joining us today as well.
This session was great, Chris Beth. I really appreciated all the knowledge that you dropped. So I'm gonna
Hey, you're
definitely, I'm
welcome.
back home now, and you're welcome. There's no school drop off or pick up tomorrow. So I have my binder and I have all my notes to try and get ready for my relaunch.
Okay, awesome.
So I will see you tomorrow.
And then I would love, sorry about the echo. I would love for all of us at some point, let's have a one-on-one. My calendar would be going out shortly. But yes, I would love to connect any way that I can help and support. Sign me up. And yeah, this has been wonderful. I'm only teaching as well the stuff that we're working on internally, as well as the stuff that we've done, right? I've been doing these types of workshops for a number of years, and being able to bring these structures, not just from a theory perspective, to my own business. And it's stuff that we need to know, right? It's stuff that we need to implement. So I'm looking forward to day 11 of our time together tomorrow. Thank you so much, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Right.
CK,
Thank you.
CK, I asked you to put your link in. I'd like to see your bit. I think the other thing that this 24 days is going to do is that we need to support each other, either by LinkedIn or liking and sharing. So I think I asked you a couple of days ago for your website or how I can find your product, and I didn't see anything come back to me yet. So if we could share that, that would be great. And same thing with Amanda. I know a lot of people would love to have your cake.
Yeah,
We have there's lots of Scotians in Toronto.
Oh, nice. Wonderful.
Well, if I have your
I'm gonna
business
put it
name and
in.
stuff, we can promote it. And there's a couple of networks down here in Halifax, small business networks, and there's a lot of Black women. It's Black women entrepreneurs that are from Toronto that we're in touch with. So I'd like you guys to reach out to belong to part of our network down here also.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
what I would do,
Great.
I'll reach out to everybody that is on the call. If you want us to share your contact in the group, I will make sure everybody has it in that way accordingly. So great ask, Bernadette. And
Thank
I
you.
see some emails coming into the chat. I'll wait a few minutes before we close the room in order to for you all to capture that content. Alternatively, as I said, I will make sure that it is in the master spreadsheet that you can connect with folks afterwards.
Okay.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everybody.
Thank you. Okay. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Happy
Yes.
Thanksgiving.
Here.
Bye.